welcome to the T-Force LCS Rundown. This is Montgonorum joining you this week with a Mitch Cereal Box.
I feel like every time you say my name, it takes longer to get through it.
Yeah.
How do you think I felt?
We've also got Craig, Incredible Mushroom Bruiser. So, this week we got a short crew. We're also, for those of you joining us on twitch.tv/T-Force Podcast, we're running with just a plain old background and no video because my internet is terrible and it always skips, and we don't have Optimus Tom. So
I'll be able to stream soon. It's just I have to get into my new house first.
Yeah, we're going dry for now. It's a busy time of year for us here at the LCS Rundown. This is episode 42, but it also is going to have the content from episode 41, part 2, which had some scheduling difficulties. It's just a hard time of year to get people together. But you know, we're gonna talk about a lot today. We've got so much. We're gonna talk a little bit about the new LCS teams in both EU and NA. We're gonna talk about IEM Cologne that just happened, which included some North American and some European teams. We've also got a butt ton of news, but much more importantly is the news that's happening within our very special lives. Greg, you got some news tonight, don't you?
Yeah, I got a new job, and I will be moving across the coast. So I'll no longer be an East Coaster. I'm now moving up to the West Coast. I'm going to live in San Francisco now.
Nothing comes close to the Golden Coast. That's
Indeed.
what I've heard.
It's got nothing on Columbia, South Carolina, though.
Yeah, you'll be out there soon, right?
I'm already there.
Oh, you're already there. Well, there we go.
Oh, South Carolina, I'm so sorry.
This is the awesome stuff because now we're completely spread out. We're just evacuating the middle of the country. So, Greg, you're actually going to be able to go to maybe even just some LCS games if you're willing to take the trip out there. I guess it's more possible than it was before.
Yeah, more possible for sure, and probably not for like the weekly games, but you know, maybe for the championships or something. I might. Not the World Championships, obviously, like the North American Championships. That might be worth a flight down and putting up with Los Angeles for a while.
Yeah, I'm jealous. I want that.
But here's a cool thing. My route will actually take me relatively close to Pone, so I'm going to go swing by Ponophobias, and we're going to hang out.
Does he know that?
He does.
Okay.
Be careful. Be really careful.
Just drop in completely unannounced.
Hey, Bone, gank! Ah!
Wait till they're going live on their show. That's when you gotta do it.
Yeah, it should be great. And also, you know, I would love to like group watch LCS out there. So if there's any fans of ours in San Francisco, you want to mail into the show and like let me know what bars people go to hang out to and watch shows at, that'd be great. I'd love to, you know, get a scene going down there.
Yeah, I have to imagine there's a bunch. I mean, I found out from when we are doing the live viewings up here in Boston, that we have like an odd amount of fans in Southern New Hampshire, which is cool. It's cool. It's awesome. We'd love to do stuff with people both online and in real life. Speaking of doing stuff with people online, after this episode, we're kind of dry, not necessarily dry for content, because I'm sure there's going to be plenty of LCS talk coming up in the coming weeks, but there's not really going to be any games, and there's not really going to be any tournaments, at least none that include the North American and European side of things, which is kind of the bulk of what the show's about. So we're going to stray away from, I guess, what you would consider the typical episode routine. We'll probably just be streaming games. With the holidays, it'll be a little difficult to get everybody together, I'm sure. But we'll probably be streaming games and filling in those blanks with fans and communities from the T-Force group within the LOL client, which if you haven't joined that group already, definitely go ahead and do so. That's what is that? It's just T-Force group in League.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's a ton of fun. There's always people there. There's always people trying to join up and and play games. Hosts and other staff, I guess, if you want to call them that, call us that, I should say, from the network, but also just fans, and it's always packed. So if you're the kind of person who kind of logs, like sort of like me in some ways, where you log in a league and you're like, oh man, I wish I had a couple people to play with, and then just end up getting into a solo queue and hating your life, join that channel, because you can just sit there and talk with people. And it's cool. It's fun. It's very nice. It's very nice indeed. Speaking of things being very nice, I want to talk, we're going to start out talking about some news this week, and I want to talk about a campaign that I have been really pushing for a very long time, and it's finally come true. All of my dreams, all of my hopes have finally come together. Does anybody want to take a guess at what I'm talking about?
Because I like look is not showing up right now, obviously, with the no camera thing.
Is the Platinum Dream a reality?
No, I like hearing other people doing it, saying it to me.
What?
Curse is gone. Curse, Team Curse, North America, gone. The players are still around. The players are great people, but the brand itself is leaving. They're pulling out of the this came up in the news not too long ago. They are pulling their sponsorships because there's been some conflicts between Curse Voice and their ability to use and promote that, and the fact that they sponsor a team. So Curse is dropping the headline title to their team, also selling off Curse Academy, and Liquid is picking up what is now the Curse framework. So my lifelong campaign to just not deal with Curse anymore has finally been realized, and I have to say I'm pretty happy about that.
Is it enough for you that just the name is gone, but all the players are still there?
No, because the only player that I ever really had a problem with was Saint Vicious, and he's on Curse Academy, so, and whatever they become is what they become, but I guess that gives me something to hate. I feel like the thing that League of Legends really lacks in terms of interregional play is that notion of being able to hate somebody. Like, that sounds bad, but when you think about physical sports like football, basketball, soccer, whatever, you kind of region lock yourself, and you grow to despise some other team. Like, I'm a Patriots fan, so I dislike the Jets, the Broncos, the Bills rather.
Yeah.
Pretty much any team that isn't the Patriots. So there's a little bit of that added bonus when I watch that game against a rival that really gets my blood pumping. Like, it makes it that much more interesting to watch. And I feel like I feel like the personalities that come in with League, you just sit there and you're like, wow, that was a really great game. Like, those were two teams that are really good and they played against each other, and that was awesome. You're never like, wow, screw that guy, I hate him. We need more hate in League.
I mean, I feel like that's something we really miss out, because there's no, like, aside from the Copenhagen Wolves, there's no, like, city or regional based teams.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure how you would really work that in because of how Riot physically runs the league, having everything in one studio. But it would be really cool to have more regional identity opportunities like the...
Well, you've kind of got a little bit of that now with Giants joining the LCS. Oh, spoilers, I got ahead of myself. I mean, you have a full Spanish team. Like, you had full Polish teams. Like, you have a little bit that I know. Like, when you went over to Cologne, or you went on road trips with the LCS, you could hear a bit of crazy cheering for specific teams because of players that are on that team. So there's a little bit of it. In America, not so much.
There's never.
I have no idea where anyone is from. I have no idea where anyone's from, except that I did know St. Vicious is from Greenville, South Carolina, where I was living for a long time. And I was like, oh my god, if I see him at a bar, I'll just faint, and then get drunk with him. Yeah, that'd be hilarious, actually.
I see. My fear is going to some event and running into Saint Vicious, and the weird chance that he watches the show, because in reality, like, I got nothing against the guy. I mean, he's just kind of a douchebag, and I can hold on to that hate and proliferate that. But if I met him, I'd be like, oh hey, I respect you and what you're doing in the community. That's great, but don't be such a douche. But that's great.
Having gone to live events where I've met people either that I've had issues with in EVE Online or I have issues with their affiliations in EVE Online. It does tend to fall away when you actually meet people in person.
Yeah, I guess it's more the embarrassment factor.
Yeah.
Like when I met
don't be embarrassed.
Well, when I met Skara at PAX with Optimus Tom, it was a complete surprise because I didn't know that I was going to be meeting him. And I think in the previous weeks, that was when he like officially retired. And I was saying pretty much how terrible he is, and it's good that he retired. Wow. And then I met him, and he does watch the show. So it was a little awkward.
Hi, Skara. I hope he's still watching at this point.
Yeah.
All right, let's get on. We have so much to cover.
Like, we do have so much to cover. So that was Curse. That's the big news out of them. Also, LMQ, I believe, just today announced that they are rebranding as well.
Are they?
Yep. And their new roster is going to be announced very soon. We'll probably talk about that in the weeks to come. So they're going to be rebranding as well. That makes the total. We have Curse, Curse Academy, EG, and Alliance all rebranding.
Mm-hmm.
That's quite interesting to me. I think it's really resident of the fact that with the more and more regulations that Riot's putting out, the more and more, I guess, legitimate these teams are kind of becoming. Not to say that any of them were illegitimate before, but with this added notion of sponsorship, I think it opens the door for a lot more groups to come in.
I'll be curious if they ever announce how much these teams are getting sold for. Because I know a while back, Liquid was talking about how much he was expecting to sell Curse Academy for. But we don't really have... this is the first time it could possibly be public knowledge. I don't know if it would actually become public, because I feel like that's kind of a bad business practice to let everyone know. But
I feel like it'll only be public if it's a publicly traded company, because then they'd have to release their financial documentation. But to me, I mean, that doesn't really matter. I would just like to see some non-technology companies move in and start picking up sponsorships.
Something a little more mainstream.
Yeah, not necessarily just for the fact that you have mainstream vendors involved, but more just the general exposure.
McDonald's will be picking up a team soon.
Yeah. What I want to see happen, and I've talked about this on the show tons of times, is that when said companies do come in, they don't take charge of the team name. Like the Philadelphia Flyers are the Philadelphia Flyers. When their ownership switches from Comcast to Wachovia, like the ownership of their stadium, for instance, the stadium name changes. The team name does not.
Yeah.
It's not the Wachovia Flyers now. They play at the Wachovia Center as opposed to the Comcast Center. But that's it. It's still the Flyers,
Yeah.
And then you could have generational fans that are like, oh, my dad loves the Flyers, so I love the Flyers. Or my dad loved the Flyers, so I hate the Flyers. I love their team that also hates them. I don't know.
In 20 years, my son and or daughter will probably be saying, my dad hated Curse back in the day, and now that Curse owns the internet, I still hate them.
You're going to be so crotchety in 80 and still waving your fist at Curse. Huh?
Crotchety now. And I'm playing WoW again.
I'm not saying it's going to change.
I'm playing WoW again, so I'm spending more times on MMO Champion, and my hatred for it has just been renewed. I used to go on MMO Champion for news, god damn it. Now there's nothing. It's ash in my mouth. That's all. It's actually probably the ash in my mouth from playing WoW again.
Oh. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. So much news, though. I have a hard time figuring out where we're even going to go with this episode. We just have so much to talk about.
Well, real quick on the rosters, I feel like we can run down pretty quickly. For the rundown.
Speaking of rundown.
What we're supposed to be doing. One of the fresh off their very disappointing loss in the expansion tournament, kind of unexpected, Millennium disbanded, which isn't surprising.
R.I.P.
And guess where Ryu went? Right over to another team to sub for him in the form of Rocket for IEM.
How good was Rocket looking initially in that?
They did all right. I mean, they beat the Dolphins of Wall Street. Wow, we're just going to jump around everywhere. But they beat Dolphins of Wall Street and then had three pretty, I wanted to say evenly matched games against CLG, which CLG ended up taking the series. But I mean, they looked all right. Overpower in top lane was different. It was kind of weird to see. And I one of the picks that I saw this week and I loved was seeing Gangplank played in a professional game. And I believe that was it was Overpower playing Gangplank. He did horribly. It was awful against Jax, who, to be fair, is a really, really good pick against Gangplank because you can just Counter-Strike out the parlays. And he's so auto-attack based to do any damage. But yeah, that went poorly. So Rocket looks all right. And CLG, well, we'll get there. Good God, there's so much to talk about.
There is.
Let's
before we get to IEM, because there is going to be a lot to discuss there. Let's talk a bit about the teams that just made it into the LCS, both EU and NA. So you already alluded to some of our EU champions. We have Giants and who's the other team there?
H2K. H2K won the whole thing, if you want to call it that. They won the winners bracket. The EU expansion tournament was, I think they forgot that it was supposed to be a best of 5 because every single game went 3-0.
Yeah.
Every single time. I don't know how that happened, and probably will never happen again. But yeah, H2K looked real strong. Took down N-Faculty and Giants, and then Giants rose back. I am so happy they made it because I called that with pretty much it wasn't very educated guess, but it was slightly educated based on communication and a team that seemed to be working pretty well with themselves.
Yeah.
And they didn't pick up people from like, this is the best player, so we'll grab him. It was, we've got good synergy. And Pepinera, whose name is finally being pronounced right.
Oh wait, is he just not going to go with X Pepe anymore?
Well, I don't know. Like they call him a bunch of different things, but for the first set, it was Pepperino was what they kept calling him.
On actual LOL esports, he is X Pepe, which I'm gonna hate all this season.
Well, not really. X Pepe is not in the LCS,
but still, it's the memory.
Speaking of that, X Pepe announced a few of his team members. He's got Amazing for the jungle, obviously now XTSM X a lot of teams now. Mithy gonna be his support. And Niels, who is kind of widely considered to be one of the top solo queue 80 carries that was being, I don't know, rumored for Fnatic, is actually picked up by Xpeke. He's called Niels / Z Vanillin. I haven't actually gotten to see him play, but they're still missing a top laner. So there's been lots of rumors flying around as to who that might be. But
yeah, I remember seeing that Alex Siege said that it's not him.
Yeah. Because, I mean, Alex has been kind of bouncing around between lanes, as has, I mean, you saw it with Overpower now, too. But that's the big ones for EU and NA. You saw more Korea to China departures with Pumandu and, is that Mafa? Going over to IG, as well as Rookie and Kakao. But Pumandu and Mafa are going to be coaches, so Pumandu retires, I guess, for the second time from actually playing. He had that slight... I guess it was really retirement, and when Casper took over for SKT, and then Impact left SKT as well. I don't think there's going to be people in Korea after this next next split.
The Korean scene just completely empties out, and then a whole new one comes in. Maybe the new Korean scene will be terrible, and people will just get over that. Like, I don't even know what to call it, like Korean phobia. Like, oh. Great, you made it into Worlds, but you're just going to lose to the Koreans. Congratulations.
Yeah. See, I have a theory about that, actually. I'm not so confident that the Koreans can keep doing that, because every time they have a team that wins Worlds, said team disbands.
Yeah, and
our teams are sticking together and building. So
I want to see it. I want to see, a North American or a European, or I guess a European team again, but a North American team win, because I want people to get over it. I want people to get over this concept that Koreans are the end-all be-all of League of Legends. I think there are different play styles, and I think some play styles are better than others, but I think if you were to put everybody into one into the same format and all play out, you would see the law of averages be much tighter in terms of skill. I think throwing people into these tournament styles lends it to being more of a toss-up than it really is.
I think one thing we need to come up with, we can think about this over the course of we got a while. How do we combine China and Korea into one name? Because that's what China's becoming. We just need to completely change that whole idea. And I really want to see how the new LPL is going to be. Karina actually works. It's also, I feel like that's going to be a champion name soon.
Yeah.
But like when we actually get to see the next LPL split.
Her only abilities are to explode towers, inhibitors, and nexuses. That's QWE right there. Explode tower, explode.
You don't need an ultimate.
Actually, that's going to be her
ultimate's
ultimate.
Another recall. Ultimate's a recall.
Her ultimate is explode the nexus. Her E is QWE. Yeah, her E is kill champion, and you get all four right at start.
R is win a world championship.
It just is the like the little the trophy they give out. That's all it is. It just
it links to your bank account, so they just deposit the money right after you hit R. All right, so now on the T-Force proper for meta. So you want to jump in? Well, NA expansion was last week. We didn't get a chance to cover that.
Right.
And those two teams who went drum roll.
I'm so disappointed. It's Curse Academy and Coast. And I'm so sad Team Fusion didn't get in.
Yeah, but they're sticking together, I believe, which is kind of nice to hear that they're like you see those teams that are made just to make it to LCS, which is fair. If you're a pro player and you don't get guaranteed money, I can totally understand dropping away from or just disbanding a team, which is what happened with Millennium. But yeah, it was sad to see Fusion get knocked out in a really, really intense 5-game set against Coast. But yeah, I'm not unhappy, but I also would have slightly preferred to see Fusion make it in.
Well, I am excited by the rosters and who we're seeing back into the LCS through these two teams. Jesus, as we all know from SK, we have Impaler. These are all on Coast.
Yeah.
Who is their full-time top?
Chris?
Is it Chris or is it Rux?
I don't really know. I'm not completely sure who is there.
Yeah,
who's going to be when they release their NA LCS lineup? It might change. Well, no, he was playing for. Wait, what am I talking about? He was playing for Final Five.
Who?
Rux.
Rux, was he? Okay.
Rux was playing for Final Five. Yeah. No, it's definitely Chris.
That was a while ago, and the information on LOL Esports is not up to date. And Optimus Tom would slap our hand for going off of that for anything.
Let's hope he doesn't listen.
Yeah, he won't. Yeah. He's on vacation with his family.
Don't worry.
He's fine. He's gone. He's gone.
He's fine.
He's gone.
Don't worry about it.
And then over on Curse Academy, we obviously have St. Ducius. We have Cop, we have Bunny Fufu, we have Keen, and we have Hanser. And Curse Academy, I'm not surprised that they made it all the way through. I just don't see this team really being ultra competitive. I see them making a really good splash in the beginning, but then kind of tapering off as the season goes on. And I think that's because of the Saint Vicious Cop combo. I think
I've already said way too much about Cop in the past, and
I think Cop is going to do well, actually.
We've disagreed on that every time. Remember,
I think he'll do
enough for fourth place, surely.
I think he'll do. I think they'll be. They'll have a really good spike, but then they're just going to be really hit or miss. And what got me the most is in a pregame interview just before the expansion tournament concluded, St. Vicious even said himself that making it into the LCS doesn't matter at all to him. He's just here to help his team. That, I believe, is actually the precise quote. And to me, that says that when the going's good, it's going to be great and they're going to be a cohesive unit. But I can also picture him getting very frustrated with losses and going on tilt a bit and letting that weight kind of get carried around. And when you're a personality like Saint Vicious, I think that really is going to command the team. So to me, their success is contingent upon Saint's mentality.
I'm okay with him. I think after seeing him cast a lot of the games this weekend, which I actually really enjoyed his casting.
As much as I can dislike him, he did a great job.
Yeah, I think that kind of showed me a more professional side of him that I hadn't really seen, and I think he'll be fine. I think Curse Academy won't jump to the top of anyone's list immediately until we actually see them against top flight teams, but they handily dismantled everyone in this tournament, and I think they'll be good enough in the 5 to 7 range.
Yeah, I think they'll be the gatekeeper to relegation. They'll be the team you kind of have to beat to be able to not have to worry about being relegated. I don't see them getting
realistic. That's probably realistic.
Yeah, I don't see them getting relegated. Obviously, we're going to have to kind of wait for a lot of these rosters to settle and start seeing some of these people play out before we can make big conclusions. But after seeing this expansion tournament, I personally am a lot more excited about Challenger.
Really?
Yeah, getting to see these teams up front and in focus, it just brought to my attention. And plus, our interview with Inertia, I just got a lot more excited about it because I feel like in the Challenger scene, you see a lot more flashy plays. You see the future of the LCS. It also is kind of like a mini retirement home for people who get knocked off big teams. But I don't know, it's a little bit more exciting to me, and I hope that, obviously you can't have an expansion tournament every year. I feel like the challenge is going to be on to Riot really to find a way to continue to showcase Challenger and make it more and more accessible.
Well, they have. Everything that they've done so far has kind of showed that they're wanting to increase visibility for everything League of Legends. And so I wouldn't be surprised if Challenger Series was way more promoted soon. Yeah. And somebody in chat just said it was the most exciting or best Challenger Series ever. It really was. I really wasn't expecting. I thought I was oh, okay, I guess we'll see some lower tier kind of games. They were really good.
Yeah.
And you had enough of the big names around that you knew a lot of the players, even if you hadn't been following the Challenger Series. And so I think that's going to keep happening. You've got EU this next season will have XPEK's new team.
Yep.
That's already a pretty big pull in terms of fan base and probably a good bit of viewership too for when they're going to be playing.
Oh, absolutely. What I would like to see happen differently is, as it stood, I believe, weren't the Challenger games after the regular LCS games last season? I feel like people got a little burnt out by the end. You'd kind of watch your games for the day, the LCS ones, and then there's a Challenger game on after it. Screw that. They go Thursday through Sunday for the LCS. I don't see why they couldn't go Monday to Wednesday on Challenger and just give you League 7 days a week.
It's also going to be smaller. It's going to be smaller too, isn't it? 6 teams, I think, in Challenger Series is what I believe it's going to be now. So it's kind of flip-flop of number of Challenger teams outnumbering LCS is completely different now. It's going to be 10 versus 6.
Right. And, even just getting on the LCS, we don't even know the format yet.
No, it's the same. It's going to be.
I was going to say,
you play 4 times. Yeah, no, it's you play the same every team 4 times, best of ones.
But
it's the same.
When did they announce that for officially?
Well, I hadn't heard any information to indicate that it would be changing at all.
They did say that they were
right now,
were considering it.
Considering changing it?
Yeah.
I don't have a link right now.
That was from a while. It was from a while back, granted, but it was when they announced the expansion tournament. They were talking about the potential. of going
I remember
to the
what you were
points.
talking about. Yeah.
So we don't. I guess we still don't officially know, unless Mitch, you know something that I don't.
Format that's different than Worlds qualification. They could still do the same format, but then add some sort of circuit point system to the to the, I don't know, playoffs, to the
Yeah.
World's qualification. But I think the format of the day-to-day schedule is going to be the same. Like you have that overall like you have, I don't know, it's going to be 36 games, I think.
Yeah.
It should be 36 games, and you play best of ones. I don't think that's changing at all.
Right. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. And the date for that, by the way, they did announce the actual date that the LCS is starting up. That is going to be January 22nd, that the spring split will begin.
1 month.
So yeah, that's a month away. Speaking of month away, it would take me probably about a month to walk to Europe. So let's go over there.
If you can walk to Europe in a month, I'm going to give you a lot of props, and a lot of props for carrying all the air tanks you'd need just to make it across.
You could probably
snorkeling, buddy. That's how you do it.
Like if I got on a treadmill and took a ship.
Really, really big.
Really slow ship.
Really big snorkel.
Massachusetts.
You are not seriously Googling. You are Googling this. All right. In the meantime, last little piece about Curse. A lot of people were thinking that when Boy left, that Keen might jump up from Curse Academy to the Curse main team, but it looks like instead Miso from Jin Air over in Korea, after their team I think was disbanded, is now coming over. He's now going to be named Phoenix for Curse. So they have their mid laner already. They're going to be going double Korean meta, and it'll be interesting to see their two carries being Korean. How they work out when they are revealed or unveiled, I guess is the better way of saying it. So,
cool.
How long is it gonna take you? How long is it gonna take you?
Believe it or not, no one has really asked this question before, so we'll just leave it where it is. So Giants and H2K.
Yeah.
Moving right along.
Speaking of walking over long distance, yeah, Giants. When we last left you guys, we were already, I think, into the portion where we had already figured out the 4 teams competing, right?
Right.
We knew it was going to be Giants against Reason, H2K against InFaculty in a double elimination tournament with the 2 seeds, 2 winning teams obviously going to the LCS. And like I said earlier, 3-0s everywhere. That's all that happened. It was Giants beat Reason, H2K won. H2K beat Giants, and then Giants beat Reason twice again. So, Giants looked good. I like Giants a lot, but H2K was just a superior team. We already kind of knew that from seeing them in the promotion tournament, seeing them actually qualify. Well, get really close to qualifying. I believe they got 3-0'd in the promotion tournament, but at least had been there.
Yeah.
But I'm really excited about Giants. They're going to be so good.
I'm curious to see how this is going to fit, where they'll fit, because the problem we had last season with Europe was that it was so top heavy. And it was like Fnatic and Alliance and everyone else. And now you've got Alliance. Who knows what Fnatic will be, if anything. You've got Rockhat, which is kind of like a big question mark. They showed some of their stuff in IEM, but they've been pretty hit or miss. So it's really going to be interesting to see whether these teams can compete, I guess, to make that gap a little bit tighter. Basically, can they beat Alliance is the question.
Yeah, I don't know if we're going to see that from any of the 2 newbies. I'm going to keep singing Giants' praises and pretend like they're going to rise to the top of the LCS, but I don't actually believe that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't think it's really any risk of that happening, frankly.
Yeah, that's probably the better way of saying it. There's probably really no chance. H2K looked really good though. Fibevan, I think that's how you say his name. Looked so good. He's the mid laner for H2K. He played Orianna, Zed. He switched over and would play like a Xerath. So he showed a very wide variety of mid laners that, like, you have your assassins, you have your long range mages, you've got everything. So I really like to see him go up against the mid laners of Europe. I won't say they're the best ones, but there's some pretty solid mid laners around. And let's see here. In Giants, I don't know. Spanish, and it's not Ocelot. That's pretty good. I think we already shit on Ocelot enough in previous talks too. But
yeah, EU to me is like the wild west right now. You've got Unicorns of Love, who,
yeah,
jeez,
I don't even know what to make of them.
G motherfucking G.
I feel like they're going to just be mega disappointment for everybody. Everyone involved.
Why would you say that? Aside from the fact that the standards for them are so high, what would make you say that?
That is where the conversation on that both begins and ends. The expectations for them are so high that it's just not going to go well for them. If they don't beat Alliance and win the whole thing, people will be like, all right.
See, that's where I think you're wrong. I don't think they have to necessarily beat Alliance. I think they have to beat everybody else except maybe Xpeke's new team. And their fans will be happy. As long as they place second, as long as they placed above third, I think they'll be fine.
I mean,
so if it's tied for third, that'd be fine.
Here's the thing: you don't need to beat Alliance. Like we saw last split with TSM, you can beat all the shitty teams and lose to all the good ones and still win the split, which is pretty incredible. But
right,
I just want to dig on on TSM more.
They did. I won't deny what you just said, but they did beat.
You can't. Those were facts.
Cloud9.
those were all facts. You can't deny that.
Well, right, but you beat all the shitty teams to get to the point where you have to play the one really good team, and then you beat the one really good team.
Yeah. No.
And then the one really good team proceeds to go to a tournament and destroy everybody and everything and dreams and lives.
I'm excited. Everyone. I'm excited to see C9 again in this coming split.
Yeah, actually, they look pretty good. They look about as good as they ever have.
See the wake of bodies behind them after the split starts up.
My problem with C9 is I feel like time and time again they're the team that everyone loves to hate during the regular season, but then when they get to Worlds, they're like, yeah, no, we always love Cloud9. They're America's dream. And then they don't do as well as they want to. And then they're like, well, fuck, C9's the worst.
Whoa. Who loved to hate them in the first place?
I think what it was that fans of other teams... when C9 went on their little rough patch, people were pumped because it was like, yeah, Dignitas can beat C9. This team can beat C9. That team can beat C9. And then it's all like, well, the fan base of all these other teams are now kind of like, wow, C9 sucks compared to my team. They're on their way out. And then...
Welcome to every sport ever when there's a gold standard.
Yeah. Patriots.
And they really are the gold standard.
No, Patriots are garbage.
They aren't.
Even though TSM has done consistently well, I feel like Cloud9, because of the stability of their roster and how consistently well they've done since they've come in, I feel like they are the gold standard of North America.
Oh, I would say they are the gold standard of North America EU. I would say they're the gold standard of the LCS as it exists. But the thing that they have going best for them is the consistency in their roster. You get so much better as a team when you know exactly how people work together. And I think that's classically been TSM's problem. They don't address their real issues. They kick out someone and replace them, and if it works, great. If it doesn't, well, then they're the new problem. Let's kick them out again.
Certainly seems to be the trend lately.
Who owns C9? Like, I know that's probably not something you guys know offhand, but
I think it's HyperX, I think.
But I mean, but as that, you're talking about an organization, and otherwise we're talking like for TSM, for CLG, we're talking about former players who have massive egos. What
individual owns them?
That's what I was meaning, and it might be a company.
HyperX.
Yeah, okay, so that makes sense. But like, if you think about, you're talking about an owner that is an individual who have gigantic egos because they made an incredible brand and it took off. But they might not make the best business decisions when you've got like Cloud9 is stuck together for so long. Maybe it's a little bit because of ownership. I don't know that for sure, but I can kind of see a small connection there.
Wait, Hold on. I just noticed something about the Cloud9 roster that I've never noticed before.
Yeah.
Dan Din, Reginald's brother, is a sub for them.
Really?
I never knew that.
I think they just never have anyone sub for them. So
well, with the exception of
Link,
the one time for Worlds, because I had a fucking hole in his throat.
Hole in his lung.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Come on, Mott. Sit for game up.
Yeah, they've never needed it. They've never needed
50% of his lung, 100% of my heart.
Yep.
It's the best. Right, so... that was the best sign at Worlds. Hi, you take my breath away. A close second.
Man,
sounds like college game day signs and posters.
I love them. I think they're great. I even like them for the actual games, except I think League's fan base is much more creative.
Yeah. I think there's, and I hope you get to experience this out on the West Coast, Greg. I think there's a whole different culture out in LA for League of Legends. Because it's not just like, hey, do you want to sit at home and maybe watch the games together? It's, yeah, let's just head down to the Riot Studios, meet all the players, and play the game and meet them and watch the LCS.
I have no interest in Los Angeles in any way, shape, or form. You ever been there?
No.
It's terrible.
I'm sure it is. But they have League of Legends.
It's like West Coast New York. Yeah. But I think San Francisco will be a lot better. So I'm hoping to meet some cool League of Legends people up in San Fran. And if I need to wallow into the smog-covered pit that is the Los Angeles Valley.
Just put on a gas mask and run until you get inside the sweet air of Riot. Breathe it in. It's your salvation.
I'll cosplay as Vandal Brand. Who's got the gas mask?
Singed has one.
Yeah, all right.
There you go. And then you'll even fit in with the smog. Speaking of fitting in with the smog, I am Cologne.
The fuck?
Wait, what?
Yeah. No, we went there. We're
how
moving.
Did,
we're
how
moving
did,
right
you didn't
along.
go anywhere. You took a wormhole. This is Interstellar now.
Yeah.
Cologne has mighty fine air quality. I demand you take that back.
All of our Cologne listeners have just unsubscribed.
Yeah. I don't know.
There are tables being flipped across the German landscape.
Oh, yeah. You can hear it. I can hear it from here.
We had some interesting games and some interesting
actual
results.
LCS teams. LCS teams played after talking about teams that were making it there.
North American and EU. We got to see Dignitas, CLG, Gambit, Gambit
in quotes. It wasn't...
Rocket, Dolphins of Wall Street, and Aces High Esports Club.
Dolphins of Wall Street, not quite as great as the Unicorns of Love, unfortunately.
I don't... Is it just
also,
because they're animals?
Not as much in the LCS.
Animals of something.
Where did these teams come from? Dolphins of Wall Street and Aces High Esports?
There were qualifiers for there's a Turkish qualifier and CIS qualifier. That's where they came from. It was just like NA San Jose IEM had teams from Brazil and I think Latin America. They had qualifiers just like that. So that's where they came from. Hence why the entire Aces High Esport team is Turkish. And Dolphins is kind of all over the place. But they had Creaton, so a former LCS player. And you got to see him go up against, was it his former team? Concerned about that question right now. No, he was a Millennium player. My bad.
Yeah, was on Millennium.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he was ever on any other team, though. I'm checking now. Fact checker.
Not super important. But so first set there, Rocket versus Dolphins of Wall Street. Still just great name. And you know what? I would have loved to see more of these names in the expansion tournament if, Riot hadn't made some of them change their names. I think there were some ridiculous ladder teams that had probably not the best names. As you can imagine if you've, I don't know, played League of Legends before. But Dolphins, I don't think anyone was really going to give them a chance. And I don't think Rocket gave them a chance either. Total match time, 48 minutes. That's how long it took to eliminate Dolphins from the tournament.
New Rocket was looking pretty smooth in their first outing.
Yeah, I mean they looked great. They had Ryu and his sub as we talked about earlier, and
Yanko's
seemed to be going
on fire.
Yeah, Yanko's is doing real well. His Elise and Lee Sin are really scary, and something I would never want to go up against. But yeah, they swept the hell out of Dolphins. They look completely unmatched, or yeah,
Outmatched.
Outmatched. That is the word that I was looking for. But there's been so many quotes. If you guys watched it, there was a commercial for Rocket about their keyboards and whatever, and it's like, stop playing and start gaming. There were just so many Reddit quotes that just said that for every single Rocket series. So that's what it looks like when you start playing.
Speaking of ads, gaming. I was walking around in a store the other day and I ran into like some gaming, like their gaming hardware section, and I saw Chowster's face on an ad with full CLG t-shirts, which I was going to say CLG uniform, but that would be a t-shirt. Yeah, that was interesting.
They also had, I think it's somewhere in Europe, they have Ninja in pajamas in GameStop. Like, you can go to GameStop and buy Ninjas in pajamas gear. Kind of crazy.
Yeah.
That's to me, that's the exposure to the general gaming community that's going to make it so that you can't ignore League of Legends anymore if you're like a general gamer.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know where my my brain is going. But let's see here. Like, there wasn't much to say about that series at all. Bringing us back in, the other play-in quarterfinal match was Dignitas versus Aces High, and surprisingly, you got to see Dignitas drop a game to the Turkish team. It didn't matter in the long run, of course, but
yeah, I really don't know about this Dignitas team.
I don't either. Aces High did have a good player in Holy Phoenix, who we got to see at Worlds this past year. And by got to see, I mean got to see them lose all of their games. But you got to see somebody who is a little bit more well known, probably the only known person on that team to the general public. But yeah, Dignitas didn't look great. Core, their new Core and Gamsu, their new top laner and AD carry, didn't impress me that much. I wasn't like head over heels for them, and I don't know. That's kind of scary when you're talking about bringing in two really important roles, especially the AD carry role, where you've got so many strong players here. You're gonna be outmatched, as I learned is a word.
The problems that I saw weren't. I guess they were just kind of new team problems, and that's really what you have to kind of consider. Is that Dignitas had its heart ripped out, and someone went together and kind of just put it back together with, like, I don't know, like tape. It's just not. This is a team, to me, that's in very high risk of losing their position in the first split. They really need to pull it together and kind of figure it out quickly, because there are other teams that are in North America that are more well put together, like Curse Academy, that are going to be knocking them around quite a bit. And they're teams that have been playing together longer than, Aces High.
Which had apparently 2 subs, too. So this is
exactly.
This is a challenger level team that had double subs and gave a real scare to Dig. And it took them they didn't even close them out super early in the last game. Took a good, almost 45 minutes to finish them off. But
right.
Yeah, Dig, not impressive. I see them dropping a good bit from their hot summer split start, and then they finished pretty cold, of course. I really see them kind of dropping pretty far in this split coming up.
Well, it's going to be a challenge for them. I mean, they need to, hopefully there's enough structure left in Dignitas that they can at least put something together to be competitive. I would be blown away if they aren't put into relegation. Like, to me, that would be a major success of we'll call it the relaunch of Dignitas.
Yeah. So Dig did go on to play Gambit, who were kind of, I don't know, a lot of people had kind of been rotated around in Gambit's roster. Genja got moved to a sub, replaced by Pinoy, who, holy shit. I will talk. There was way more to talk about Pinoy a bit later on, but he was incredible. And then Cabochard took over the top lane from Kuban, which has been kind of just a rotating door for a while now in terms of Gambit's roster.
I remember looking at the brackets and seeing Gambit listed there and going like, what the fuck, like, Gambit? Like, who's even on Gambit? How are they even a team? And then they won everything. Spoilers.
Well, what's fun is that the Gambit Dignitas match went 2-0 in favor of Gambit. It had two very distinct storylines. I guess, I don't know, storylines that came out of the games, which was Dignitas threw at where? Baron. Surprise, number one.
Yep.
And Gambit crushed face in an IEM because they just, I don't understand how they just bring it together for IEMs every time. But they're like,
I think they've won the last like 7.
They win a lot of IEM tournaments, which is pretty incredible. And
IEM 6 Kiev IEM 6 championship, Katowice in the past 2 Colognes.
Katowice.
Oh god, I'm the worst.
It's also going to be the World Championship this year for IEM.
Yep.
But yeah, Gambit just dismantled the. It was closer early. These games, you thought Dignitas had a chance for a while, and honestly, we didn't know what like you were saying, what to expect from Gambit coming in, and then Gambit just kind of put us all in our places, reminding us, oh yeah, they can occasionally turn it on and look like the Moscow 5 of old. But I don't know, that didn't excite me nearly as much as the finals, but we're not even to that point. Because I decided to bracket CLG and Roccat, another new look teams everywhere. But I guess that's kind of what this preseason is. There's been so much roster mania going on that we're finally getting first glimpses of these LCS teams. And it was kind of nice to see another, I don't want to say Battle of the Atlantic, but seeing more NA EU matchups of LCS teams.
Yeah.
And CLG Rocket was a pretty good one. One of the only ones to go for the full distance in terms of games and their best of.
I still don't know what to make of CLG. I feel like CLG is going to be the most drama-filled team. Drama in the sense that there's going to be the most story, because you've got Skara matched up against Double Lift in terms of personalities. You've got questions all over the place about Link. You're going to see how Zion Spartan performs on yet another team. And it's like they have the makeup to be incredible, but what will that incredible end up meaning? Will they be a third place incredible that loses to C9 and TSM? Will they be the second one that finally kind of pushes TSM down further, maybe where they belong? Or are they just going to kind of fall flat and be like a fourth place Skara team? Fifth place Skara team?
I have expectations for them, and it's kind of because I've been a CLG fan for a long time.
Yeah.
But I was at least given some good hope from this tournament. We didn't get to see Smithy yet. I think Card was subbing in for him, I think due to visa issues. But they looked good. Zion is still just such a man up top, and that's nothing new. We're not surprised by him having good games, being a dominant force, and being just a strong solo laner,
he's a monster.
Which is what CLG's needed after Seraph. We've talked that one to death too.
Yeah,
but he looked really solid. He started bringing out Jax a bunch, which I like. I actually listened to Proper on my drive home today, and they had fun discussions about Jax buffs, and it's going to be real scary to see how much Jax gets picked in the next, I don't know, this upcoming split.
Yeah.
He's going to be really scary.
Jax, to me, is a very fun champion to watch.
But never to play against. You never want to play against the Jax, because you know you're just kind of boned at that point.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. That was that. Like I said earlier, the Jax versus Gangplank. That was a kind of hilarious counter pick, just because you know that's not going to go well for Gangplank, and Overpow got shit on. 1-6-11, and 9-1-8 on the Jax. Yeah, you could easily tell how that game went just from that, from looking at top lane. Not too difficult to see. But the problem for CLG was the finals, and I think it was the other storyline there was, of course, the Gambit doesn't lose in the IEMs, and Doublelift has never won a LAN, I believe. And guess what happened? Every single storyline stayed the same. And that's when we saw Pinoy just, oh my goodness. He is incredibly aggressive AD carry. And a lot of Reddit, like probably the entirety of the League of Legends subreddit, front page was completely covered with Pinoy outplays of Doublelift. Because it happened a lot. There were a bunch of just hyper-aggressive plays that you don't usually expect from AD carries. You expect them to be a little bit safe in lane, try to make sure they don't do anything dumb. And Pinoy just starts killing the hell out of Doublelift. His Graves play was really strong.
Funny because that's kind of like out doublelifting Doublelift. Because that was kind of Doublelift's thing, was just I'm going to go full balls to the wall, and it's high risk, high reward. He's such a legend because he had those huge plays playing super aggressive champions like Vayne. And I feel like the meta kind of had to suppress that in him. He had to kind of hold that back a little bit, and obviously it hasn't been going super well for him in terms of CLG's success overall. But it just kind of sucks that now you've got somebody who can do that same level of play. With champions, to be honest, we're not really usually seeing fill that role. Like Graves is kind of that champion who can get in your face and take a little bit of damage while also putting out quite a bit. But he played it really well.
Graves is a good pick against Lucian, is I think one of the main reasons you're seeing him come back in. And I don't want to just kind of point scoreboard like fans of traditional sports do, but that first game was Lucian, Doublelift on Lucian, 0-8-3. Pinoy on Graves, 9-3-4, which was a later pick. Graves was the final pick of the pick ban, and he can deal with those early trades really well thanks to his passive. And like that, you don't expect Doublelift to do that poorly. He even in games he lost later on, because they obviously dropped 2 more games after just game 1. He still did really well. Like 11-4-6 on Vayne in a loss. Is you'd still say wait they lost with him doing that well, and then 7-3-7 on Caitlyn in a loss on game 4.
Yeah, he also went 12-4 and 9 on Caitlyn.
But when that
was the game they won.
Yeah, but it was like it kind of kept showing that Protect Doublelift may still be their comp idea. If he's doing that well and the team still loses, it might mean they're focusing a little bit too much on helping Doublelift, which has been their strategy for a long time, honestly.
For them, I think it's protect the Doublelift, let Zion roam.
Be a man.
Let him just split and just keep splitting, and then bring it together in a team fight.
And that kind of brings that second threat that will make CLG more viable, but I still don't see them breaking into the top 2.
I think a lot of their problems are mental, and TSM's a mentally weak team, in my opinion, and I think a strong-willed team can always beat them out in the long run. And I think if CLG could do that, it would go really well for them. But I just don't see, even in like a regular professional setting, take video games, take sports out of it, how do 2 people who are legends in the industry sit down on a team together where they're not on an even playing field? You've got Doublelift, who is, a playmaker, a legend. People know him for his hyper carry role. And then you have Skara, who's kind of like, he's the League of Legends player of 2014. All the movements that he did, all of the appearances and things that he was a part of really helped shape the narrative of the year. He had an amazing year with Dignitas. You had him retiring. You just had all these different factors kind of come together, and it's all really focused around him. And now he's on CLG, and you have those 2 big names where one is telling the other one what to do. And that's not the best way to define the coach role, but it is kind of that way. It's Skara's responsibility to tell Doublelift when things need to be changed, along with the rest of the team. I just see it being a major problem for him going forward.
And it could be. The Doublelift has an infamous ego, so...
Well, right.
if he can grow up, if everyone can be adults on the team, which is incredible. Like a funny thing to say when we're talking about 17-year-olds and up, like except for like 23, maybe at the max.
Well, the difference is being a great team and being an okay team.
Yeah, if you can take criticism, it helps in insane amount in all aspects of life, but especially when you have somebody who can is actively supposed to tell you what to do. That's you got to check your ego at the door.
Yeah,
and we'll see.
My prediction is just a ton of passive aggressive comments. And tension.
I'm not going to subscribe to either of them on Twitter for that reason. I don't want to see it. I don't need to see childish banter.
I guarantee you that if it does come to the public light, you will know.
It'll be on Reddit in like 5 seconds.
You won't be able to avoid it.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see. I am kind of gave us a snapshot into these 4 LCS teams. But I don't really... You kind of can't count this as telling for any of them, really. I mean, we saw some positive things, I think, in one capacity or another in each of the teams. Dignitas did manage to beat one team, so you got to at least give that to them.
No, no. They lost a game to a team that they had no business losing a game to.
But they did have, within those games, they did have some pretty good looks. Like, they were losing. I remember, actually, it was one of the games I did actually get to watch in some high capacity for them. And they gave up, like, first blood. They were getting killed a couple of times. And people were blowing up on Reddit and Twitter like, oh my god, Dignitas is the worst. But they never lost the gold lead in that entire game. Like, they were always out farming and taking objectives quicker than Ace was. And eventually it got to the point where all that gold caught up with them. And they just started going around and getting tons of kills left and right. And I believe that was the